Barchu v'Shmai.
Maybe go well, if never name the man of Yahweh. Melachos der Mashiach Imogen.
Barchu v'Shmai. Amen.
Somet no flame, roch echolim at gerasurim. Time us standing apart. Michemol kabal gebrus mitomelach, melach mem mit Machaya, Matzmiel Yeshua. Nemon atu, achios mesim, urchato Adonai.
Barchu v'Shmai. Amen. Mincha Maariv Amen.
They also the cut of you may be no long. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu Hashanah. Amen.
It is as me, I confess to them, you must have to do. Jesus, you are such a unical I am, Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu Hashanah. Amen.
Naleinu Avarachman, Rachim Uleinu B'Kavu Rachim U'Ros People say no. Yel Shumei Hatafilon Shachan Animotam, Yochanev Makin Reikim Al Dishtireno. Yasha Shmei Tfilas Kotem, Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu Hashanah. Amen.
B'Tzedin Uleinu B'Amcho Yisrael, Yishpilas Amtrei, Yishavod Uvir B'Beisacham, Yishay Yisrael Yishpilasam. Yehavah Sekavah V'Ratzon V'Ratzon Tamid Avodas Yisrael Amecha Eloheinu V'Lehelos in a Yahweh V'Yodmo. Said as anyone named Yeshua Tziyam Barak. Baruch atah Adonai.
Amen. Noidim Anachnu. Shimcha V'Adam Yakadosh. Atis Tishecha. Ashvidach.
Keep me along and be new love. I'll kill him this morning from this nasa. She come with me along the way. Call a high and do the cell of the hollow chimbo. I go along the way. Kita, Kiel is to a saint. As in a saint of cello, I thought for the Kata, the
Amen. Dikim Anachnu V'Loim Otanu. At the Tzadik HaKol HaParino. Do that Zachana.
Sempre Osham Yom Yatzei Osham Tazi Shabbasin Sakti Memar Yom Yikru B'Shem Adonai B'Sham Memar
Alright, so day in Jewish history, today, the year 2448, is Hamilton the Common Era. The Yidden arrived in Refidim. We were traveling, and we arrived to Tartus in a city called, or not city, whatever it was, a place in the desert called Refidim. We arrived here. Now, what we did over there doesn't. It's one of the things we don't like doing. We don't like when our kids do. It's kvetch. Are we there yet? Worse than that. I'm thirsty.
I need to go.
Well, in this case, they complain, I'm thirsty. That's what they complain, we're thirsty. But actually something pretty cool happened. Hashem tells Moshe to hit the rock and we'll get water. And pretty cool, hits the rock and water comes down. So that happened tonight. Get ready for the kvetches?
Hit the rock or speak to the rock the first time?
First time Hashem told him to hit the rock, and he hit the rock. That's one of the questions on the second time. What's the big deal? Last time Hashem said to hit the rock, so he made a mistake. So instead of speaking, he hit it. Yeah, whatever. We'll deal with it next time. When we get to that point, today, he was told to hit the rock, and he hits the rock, and the rock gave it water. That's tonight. Tonight also Israel celebrates. In the modern country, Israel celebrates their first use of. We discussed the other day. They got their planes. 1948. So a few days ago, it was a Lag BaOmer, I think. They got the Air Force. This This guy's American, huh? The what? Mirage? Could be. Could be was, I don't know. Could be. It was a guy. They took it apart and they sent it over from France. Yeah. It was Mirage. Okay. And anyway, so they finally got to use it today, 1948. They got to use it, and they bombed Jordan. And it was due to that bombing of Jordan that all of a sudden all nations came. Okay, let's have a ceasefire. Let's have a ceasefire. That also happened tonight, the 23rd of ER, 1948. Everyone begging for a ceasefire. When we ask for a ceasefire, they don't do ceasefires. That's the way it works. Also, they come back. Anyway, of course, we gave it. That's dangerous. All right. So last time we were discussing doing things on Yom Tov, what we're allowed to do on Yom Tov. For food, of course, we said things we're allowed to do with food. However, Shulchan Aruch says, or the commentaries tell us, that when is that talking about we're allowed to do all those things? That is, if you didn't have time before Yom Tov to do them. Obviously, if you have time before Yom Tov, do it before Yom Tov, and that's it. Do it before Yom Tov, and then you don't have any problems. Now, we mentioned about lighting candles. Lighting a candle, we're allowed to light a candle Yom Tov. What? Oh, we're going to come to fresh. We're going to come to that. In a few minutes, we're going to get to that. Yeah. Now, we mentioned yesterday also about candles. Lighting, you're allowed to light a candle from a pre-existing flame on Yom Tov. We're allowed to light a fire for cooking or for Yom Tov candles or whatever. For Yom Tov, we say you're allowed to do it for not Yom Tov reasons as well. Meaning, for Yom Tov, but for, let's say, to look for where you have the tablecloths in the cellar, since there's no light, you could do it also, no big deal. However, Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says something interesting. We should not light a yahrzeit candle on Yom Tov, he says. That's what Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says. He says it's not necessary. Better do it instead of doing a 20, so the second day Yom Tov, do it 40, instead of doing a 24-hour one, do a 48-hour one before Yom Tov, you have yahrzeit, and do it then. You don't need to light a candle. It's not necessary for Yom Tov. As he says, interesting. There are others that argue against the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch and say, no, once it's allowed, it's allowed. Finished. What's interesting is, recently it's been published that, we have Yiskar every Yom Tov. We have 4 times a year every Yiskar. So recently I saw published that it's not a Chabad custom to light a Yiskar candle, just light a Yiskar candle. I was with my parents lighting Yiskar candles. So I used to light a Yiskar candle. My parents would light a Yiskar candle for Yom Tov. But I saw recently, it says that's not, Chabad custom is not to do it. It could be because of this Kitzur Shulchan Aruch where it says, Yom Kippur is something else, and you do it before Yom Tov. Before Yom Tov, you can do no problem. Talking about on Yom Tov itself. Yiskar is always the second day of Yom Tov. So it means you can light it on Yom Tov from a pre-existing name, of course. Of course, from a pre-existing flame. But it could be that's the reason why it's not a mitzvah, because the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says better not to. If you don't have to, better not to. So our parents are missing it. They're missing a candle. That's what they need. Do a mitzvah for them. Anyway, others permitted. I'm just giving you a little bit. Huh? Oh, I read it for Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch is not Lavavish. I just heard today a story. Interesting. Someone passed away. They were known as a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch here. They used to learn Kitzur Shulchan. That's what they learned. They always learn Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. According to the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, he says it's not necessary for Yom Tov, and therefore you shouldn't light it on Yom Tov. Light it. You want to light it before? Light it before. On Yom Tov. Others say you could. It's a chumrah, of course. It's a chumrah because once it was allowed, it's left. It's a stringency because you're clearly allowed. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says once you were allowed to light a fire on Yom Tov, you can light it for your barbecue from a pre-existing flame. So you can light your Yom Tov candles. You can light your Shabbos candles. So he says you can light also. So halachically, you also allowed to light a yahrzeit candle. Kitzur says no, don't do it. Not necessary. Don't do it. Anyway, I just saw an interesting story just today. Yeah, of course. That's what Shulchan Aruch is saying not to. Yeah, of course. Anyway. No, of course, no. But I saw an interesting story today going around. Today it's going around. There was a guy. There's a guy in yeshiva world. Anyway, so he said the guy passed away at a funeral, and so it was during COVID. There's pictures of it, but I don't know why it's going around today. But it's going around today. But there was only 9 people for the minyan. Only 9 for the minyan. The cemetery. It's better to have a minyan by a funeral. It's not ma'akiv. It doesn't hold. You don't say, okay, we're not burying the person until we have a funeral. But it's better to have. So we can do kaddish. It's better to have a minyan. It's supposed to have a minyan. Anyway, there was only 9. All of a sudden, a 10th guy walks in the middle of the funeral. Like, hey, this is what it is. And the 10th guy walks in. Comes to the cemetery. They call him over, and he came to the cemetery with something else. They bring him over, and he makes a minyan. Anyway, small talk after the funeral. Small talk. They asked him what's his name. Something Ganstreet. His name was. Also, his name was Ganstreet. Shonah Ganstreet. That was his name. But he sent someone. He sent someone to make the minyan. The guy was into learning Kitzur Shulchan Aruch every day. He took care of him. He sent someone to make the minyan. Anyway, it's not Irish. It's a. I think it's a beautiful story. It has a lot of. It's maybe a little silly story, but I think it has a lot of depth to the story. My father used to do business with a guy. I remember God Street in Berwick. I was doing business with him. I remember my father was in the gold business in jewelry. The guys make jump rings, whatever, for jewelry, jump. Anyway, jewelry lingo. There's a lot of people I know with that name. It's a name. Go ahead. The guy made a million. Anyway, Married, page 118. Who wants to have Married? Was that Married? Sure. Okay, Hebrew. You don't know? Page 118, anybody? Who wants?
اما فعلین بهم که نیست که اسکارش میره با آن دبیر آخری راست هم خاصیت کار کم شغل دقیقه کنی و یه میدون اون خاطر خوابی استرا بعد من کارم رامه ایش بیرام برای خواب مایی در دفتر زمین خاطر در زفتاش میکنی بخواب ایوم که بخواست بیشتر زود خاطر نمون زمین ما رامه بار خاطر نم بیرا ما میگیم لیگو ما میگیم لیگو دیگه پیش می رفتن اینه ماری ولی
Amen. I said the basis of. I mean, so he's looking on this.
اینه باید بیاد منو بام نگیر منو لیگو رفتن اینه
Shema you have to ace it. You have to make a sure it is a play. How the left is not the
Adine Vichmamas. Mokos Emirats in Kyola information is from Shiro Simkaram Rukulam. Mokos no job na came information the AVR. Bina Mark on this Yaki Government of the Noiko Ushmer they say the film tomato devil kills me now. Shame and Sami so odd. It's got scholar Shmira. Now they're rapping out them. Okay, I can't come to play. They can be making the fight the police sit up on my car and run away. Iskala Shmira Nam de Virachilios Yam Kotiaskar Gamshay Station you make at the police Sra Abaz Makar and Rame. Shout there, Tim Patrick, Lord, we could roll.
Amen.
Come across the shop, passing on what I'm remembering, Romain.
Amen.
Scalpers of us, the voice rock and up in the Shman, Romain.
Amen.
H. Ram, I'm to Romain.
Amen.
Place Shamrock, Yashua, Romain.
Amen. It's 136.
Makatadine, Elena, Mahila, Mashaki, Shamsa, Sabiti, Rosa, Same.
Amen.
Aye. Shmeno, Shashim Yam, Shahim, Hamisha, Choice, Shashim, Amen.
139.
Mincha Maariv Services, Malka cards by Melody, College Method.
Amen. 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 Shri Ram, Amen. 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 Shri Ram, Amen. 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 Everybody. Tomorrow morning, 8:40.